Okay, so it's time for another video because I've just returned from my most recent trip to Florida and I would like to show you what I've been doing. So this is some video shot by my friend Audrey. You can see there's 3 of us in the team. That's me just disappearing down the hole with yellow fins on. This is my buddy Laura, who I dive with from time to time. She's also disappearing down the same hole, and then Audrey will follow us down and we'll get some more footage. So you can maybe see on Laura's back there's some spools floating around. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. And sometimes people see video like this and they think, oh my God, that's so small. Now it's not really small. What really small looks like is like this. So here you can see I've taken my cylinders off because it's actually kind of small and I need to push them in front of me and then I need to squeeze through myself. So my belly is rubbing on the bottom and my back is rubbing on the top, and I've got to actually physically haul myself against the rock and then push my cylinders and go a bit more. It's not too bad because it's all rocky, so at least the visibility stays nice. You can see that my hood is rubbing on the ceiling, and that's why I'm exposing my head, so I need to be careful, otherwise I'm going to hurt myself. Here we can see a side view. So see, it's actually reasonably wide, but it's just not very tall. Now, most cave isn't like that. Most cave is reasonably big, sort of a nice and clear like this. So here, this is me using a spool. So all divers carry spools with them all the time. This is what was clipped onto Laura's back, and here I am just winding it back in after I've been using it. In the last video I made, which was a couple of years ago now, I showed you the map as it was at the time. So there were different sections of the cave. There was a section down here, then there was this section here, and there was this section over here. I figured I was done with this, and I actually also in the last video showed you that I'd started mapping the passages, and I'd actually put it together and done this and then released it because I thought that part was done. And the very last dive of that trip, I was looking in here just to get some of the passage widths, and I'd seen a little hole at the very end, which I just kind of stuck in a small amount of line. And then on the trip, when I first came back, after I'd got myself back up to speed, I went there to go check it out. Okay, so this is footage from inside the actual cave. So there was the end of the old line, and then where that new line starts in a different colour, this is where I'd run my spool. So I just basically found this tunnel, which I'd obviously previously rejected for some reason or hadn't noticed or whatever. So I was coming down here, I just sped the video up a little bit, and I'd run out my spool up until the point where we're going to show you in a minute. So a little bit of cave here. Now this line is not the original line, it's the line I ran subsequently, and then I videoed this after that again. So this line will appear throughout the video, but it wasn't actually here when I was doing it. So I was running this line out with me at the same time as I was reeling in my spool. So when I laid the spool, I'd got up to this point here. I was getting towards the end of the spool because it doesn't have that much line on it. And I'd come to this little section here, and I just kind of had a glance around, and it looks like the end of the cave. So here I was, here, and I just kind of had a quick glance around and gone, okay, that looks like the end. I don't really see anything else. And I was near the end of the line anyway, so where I've frozen the video here, I tied it onto that piece of rock. And then that was the last dive of that trip. So when I came back subsequently, I wanted to come and get my spool because I need to use that. So I swam down here, laying that line, that yellow line that's now there. And as I was swimming along, I noticed that the water was flowing towards me. So it actually was moving. So moving water basically indicates that there's water coming in from somewhere. So after I'd picked up my spool, I had a look around and I noticed this small hole down here on the floor. So this line wouldn't have been here then. I would have trailing that line out behind me and I would have been swimming along. So again, I'm going to speed the video up a little bit. So I swam down all this passage and think, wow, this is amazing. I found some more passage. And there's a few bits where it's kind of tight, so I have to go sideways or get stuck in places. I come along through here, so here I think I need to go sideways. Get through here, come around. There's a few places where I get stuck, and I get to this point here. Now there in front you can see there's a piece of yellow line. So when I got to this point, I saw this line, and I was like, wow, that line is another piece of line which I'd laid from the cave from a completely different place, and what I've done is I've managed to connect it up. So I was racking my brain trying to work out where that piece of line was. So I had to swim around this piece of rock here. So I saw the line, but I couldn't actually get to it that way, so I sort of swam around a little ways You can see I kind of got stuck here, and then I reached where the end of the tie-off was. So here, and then I tied into that piece of rock to line there, and I'd actually completed that bit of connection. So once I had found that tunnel, well, basically I decided it was time to wrap up the project and pretty much finish. So what I have here is my published final map, which is a PDF here. If I just zoom in a little bit, can I move it around? Yeah. So what I found was this connection tunnel here. As you see here, it says connection tunnel, which connected this section of the cave with this section. So I was able to swim around here, all the way around here, back around, and complete a circuit. So that circuit is 2.5 or 2.6 kilometers. I decided to name it the night circuit because it looks like a night. Not that difficult to work out. And then here, this is my final map. I've managed to, because I found some things, I was able to name some of the sections. So I named a few things here. Some of the names existed previously, so some of them I worked on. And that is my final map there. I also have a Google Earth version of the maps. This one's a bit more interactive. You can see what's going on a bit better. So here you can see the night circuit much better. You can also see down here, and there's various interaction things which I've turned off. So at the moment I turned off a lot of features. Let me turn them back on again. I can also zoom in. So then we can see much more about the overall map. There's some information you can click on here if you so desire, and that will tell you various things about the survey and about what I did. And then on some of these dots you can click on and show what's going on. So the orange ones are video or pictures. So that's a photograph there of one of the parts of the cave. That's a yellow one, I think. The orange ones, yeah, that one should be a video. So you should be able to see that one and watch that video. And then that shows you what it's like at that. That's enough about that. You get the idea. It's a vertical shaft, so it's basically showing different parts. So this I've published, and it was well received by the diving community. But I am done. So I've finished. I've published my map. I'm done with everything. I shall not be going to Florida again next year. The project is over. I've placed links to both the PDF version of the map, and also the Google Earth version of the map in the description down below. So if you want to have more of a look, then you can do. Enjoy at your leisure. Thank you very much for watching, everybody.